Go.
Why, I'm not on television buying time to convince anybody to believe in
We're
my
not
God.
buying time either. This
You're
is
on
public
time
access. It's free.
to convince
Practically.
people to not believe in what they believe in. That's all.
No, what we're here doing, first of all, we're not buying any time. It's public access. It's done free. It's a nonprofit organization.
I wish there was money in atheism. There's not.
So how does it work?
And while
Nonprofit.
and can I talk, or do I have to put you on hold? Okay. While I am actively trying to convince people that some beliefs are wrong, I provide good reasons for those claims of mine. And in part, it's one of the most common is that there's no good reason to believe the claims of religions. That faith is not a good tool for discerning the difference between reality and non-reality. So while I can understand, having been a Christian, how comfortable it is to have some beliefs, when we're talking about actual evidence, we're talking about what is real and what's not real, faith is not the tool to use to determine that. Evidence is. Logic, reason, independent confirmation of evidence is extremely important. Now, if somebody wants to believe something completely on faith, they're more than entitled to, and I support everybody's right to believe whatever stupid stuff they want to believe. The difference is that when the problem is when they act upon those beliefs and try to impose those beliefs on others, especially through legislation, by legislating about people's rights to choose on abortion, for example. When you begin to legislate your religious opinions, now it's no longer okay that you just back them up with faith. You better back them up with evidence, with argument, with reason. Faith alone is useless.
I draw a harder line than Matt, personally. I certainly agree with Matt but I don't know if our caller is of the brand of Christians who are politically active and trying to take over our country right now. I don't know that. We haven't asked him, and I don't want to assume that. But if at any time any believer comes at me with this "what if you're wrong" thing, trying to freaking scare me into joining your club by dangling hell in front of me, then dude, that is the only reason to ask the question. That is the only reason to ask that question. What on earth or else are you getting at? I'll back off. Maybe there is another reason. Why do you care what I think will happen to me after I die if I'm wrong? Why do you care?
It's just a conversation. It's not about me caring.
Come on. We know. I was a Christian too. I know what it's all about.
Hang on.
Bringing up hell is a fear tactic to scare people into joining the club. That's the point.
Yeah, and going with what Jeff says, if you really are a Christian and you're going to sit there and pretend that this is just a conversation, that you have no goal in mind, then I think you should probably hang up and go pray, because I don't find that to be remotely honest. You had to have some point. You're not proselytizing at all? You're not trying to back up your claims or beliefs?
No, he's not. I gave him a chance to.
Sorry?
No, I just called in. Actually, it was quite funny to get in on one phone call. You must be having a lot of feedback there today.
I've got full lines right now. And guess what? Now we've got a line open. See how easy that works?
Then that's the best he could do, is to try to denigrate the show.
Oh, obviously, I got in
grief.
quick, so you guys aren't very popular.
Wait a minute.
Hey, you know what? It doesn't matter whether we're popular.
I just want to have a moment of sympathy for believers. Folks out there, those of you that believe, that are frustrated by our show, I completely sympathize. I know what it must be like to, after hanging out only with other believers, or when you try to proselytize, only running into people who haven't thought very deeply about these things and haven't got very good or clear understanding of where you're coming from or what the implications of your arguments are, and aren't prepared to defend themselves, right? I can understand how frustrating it must be for you to call into a TV show and talk to a couple of guys who have spent years doing this and thinking very deeply about these issues. We know where you're coming from. We know what these arguments are about. We know what you're trying to do. It ain't gonna work. Yeah. Sad for you. But you might just want to suggest, and we are not here, the show is not here to convert you. You can turn off the show and go away. We don't care. Believe what you want. But if you call into the show, you are going to be talking to some people who are able to hold up our end of the argument. Okay? If you really feel that you need to be able to argue with folks as prepared as us, and you can't, there's two possible reasons for that. Either somehow, magically, we're able to defeat your arguments when, by all rights, we shouldn't, or else we're right and you're wrong. Just think about it. That's all I'm suggesting.
Yeah. And I do care what people end up believing, because people do act upon their beliefs. And I would prefer that we lived in a world where the F word was faith. Where you didn't abbreviate one word and laud another one.
Yeah, you're right. And to be honest, I care too. What I mean by when I said I don't care is I recognize your right to believe whatever you want. I would never in a zillion years condone prejudice against you or violations of your rights on the basis of what you believe. I think that is absolutely your right and inviolate. And I got nothing against that.
It's along the same lines of being asked,
but yeah,
well, would you eliminate religion tomorrow if you could? No, I wouldn't. And the only reason I wouldn't is because I recognize there's some people who just aren't capable of living their life without it.
Elton John was in the news recently.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I did
Elton
see
John called for, well, no, he didn't call for it. He said that if it was up to him, he would ban religion. Yeah. I would not ban religion, and I think Elton John's way out of line, and I think he probably counts as one of those people who hasn't thought terribly deeply about these issues.
Yeah, I'd prefer we move society...
That's not the answer.
I'd prefer we move society towards a point where religion just fades away, where, it's some pocket kook thing, like, it becomes old wives' tales, and yes, grandma really believes it, in her basement, but it's no longer affecting public policy. As a reminder, since we haven't mentioned it yet, we're going to Threadgills after the program. Any atheist or atheist-friendly people are welcome to come down and join us. And when I say atheist-friendly, I've had plenty of liberal Christians and deists and others come down to have reasonable discussions, and that's fine. And we actually, can enjoy it. When I say atheist-friendly, I don't mean you come down and smile and tell me how much Jesus loves me. That's not atheist-friendly. Sorry.